Welcome back. Today, I'll be reacting to another video by Abba and Preach titled Andrew Tate Self-Snitching Hard on Camera. Before I start this reaction, I would like to discuss my own personal thoughts on Andrew Tate. I think this is important because although I do put out reaction content, I am my own person, which means I have thoughts, opinions, and beliefs that are not always passed down to me from the content I consume. And part of the problem with a lot of reaction channels is that it seems like reactors are constantly tailoring their commentary to echo the sentiments of their audience, or what I like to call their thought camp. Now, what do I mean by thought camp? This is a term I use to describe a group of people who share the same beliefs, but use those beliefs to assert themselves as superior over others. And that's not what we do here. That's not what we do. Because each and every single one of you has the ability to think critically as individuals. Now, what does it mean to think critically? It means that you're constantly engaging in the process of questioning your own assumptions and presuppositions. Now, this is something we should all strive for. Because let me tell you something, the tribalism that's going on, men versus women, liberal versus conservative, East versus West, it's starting to make us perceive the world in a way that's unhealthy. You see, we cannot coexist if we're just going to exist within these binaries. What is a binary? A binary is one or the other, good or bad, black or white. So, what do I think about Andrew Tate? I think Andrew Tate is a complicated individual. He does put out some positive messages about overcoming adversity, managing self-doubt, and embracing certain aspects of one's masculinity. Now, that last part is especially important considering the fact that we live in a society that likes to paint masculinity with a broad brush of being toxic. However, I'm much less concerned with what Andrew Tate says and more concerned with what he represents. Which is to say, if you look at his life trajectory objectively and the things he has done to get to where he is, you must acknowledge that he's been involved in some shady practices, like starting a webcam business that's predicated on deception, where he has these women on camera engaging in these sexual behaviors while he pretends that he's a girl typing to the clients, who are most likely lonely guys seeking female validation. I've also seen clips where he admits lying to women about how much they're being compensated for their work. And I've also heard him say things like, "My girl doesn't go anywhere without me. If she wants to go to the club or to a party, I'm coming because she belongs to me. She is my property." Then he gives this weird example where he compares women to cars and says, "Would you ever leave your car parked outside in the middle of the night for someone to come through and steal?" And it's like, okay, dude, there's a difference between being protective and being possessive. You are advocating for possessive/controlling behavior because you're afraid that if you leave your girl out unattended, another man is going to take her away from you. That is not a message you want to be sending to young boys and men who might be struggling with issues of abandonment or rejection. Now, one of the things I do admire about Andrew Tate is how much adversity he's had to overcome in his life, especially during his upbringing, which, to the best of my knowledge, was particularly harsh. However, I have serious concerns about the path he took to conquer that adversity. What message does it send to the youth when you boast about how you've gotten to where you are by selling drugs, gambling, pimping women out, and beating the shit out of people in and outside of the ring? When you say, "That is how I created my wealth. That is how I achieved success." How does that send a positive message to the youth? It doesn't. To me, it sends the message that if you take the path that I took, you will end up exactly where I am. And he's right about that. If you follow Andrew Tate's path in life, you will end up exactly where he is. Jail. You see, we allow these entertainers to script our reality because of how good they sound on a mic, or because of how effective they are at appealing to our emotions. They convince you that you need them to make sense of the world, when in all reality, you don't. You already have the answers. You just got to be honest with yourself about what those answers are. And you can't let your ego cloud your pursuit for those answers.
If you aren't aware, Tate's in prison in Romania. Some people say he's innocent, other people say he's guilty. And you guys remember us? We said wait till the evidence comes out and we'll find out. Well, a lot of evidence has been coming out. That prosecutor's office in Romania has been leaking a lot. And
how can you be a prosecutor's office and leaking that much?
let's always do it. They do it on purpose.
Yeah?
Yeah, they leak what they want to the press. You have to understand.
It's a whole game.
Winning a case for them is not just winning a case. There's a lot of ego involved. These people want to win these big cases. FBI says it's got a, 96, 98 conviction rate. The reason why is because they like that shit on their resume. They take on cases they know they're going to win, and they only put forth the case when they know they're going to win. Yeah. And so this thing right here, have you seen what they leaked?
No, I haven't seen what they leaked.
Listen, they didn't prosecute Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate prosecuted Andrew Tate. My homie was self-snitching. Watch the tape.
No, basically...
Watch the tape.
Trafficking, we have three things: force, fraud, or coercion. Force, obviously, that's like being in chains and, not being allowed to leave. Fraud, being kept there under false pretenses. If there's an element of fraud in the way that you are enticing somebody or keeping somebody in a particular position to work for you, and if it's in the sex business, that's sex trafficking. Or coercion. Let's kind of look at one of his very first videos that he did. These are his words, not my words.
When you say webcam company, people assume, oh, it's just a sex fest. But in reality, it's a shitload of people management. The HR category of the webcam business is the largest and most important thing. You're effectively taking girls, teaching them how to make unlimited money from home, and then making sure they give it all to you. Your goal is to inspire...
And then making sure they give it all to you.
From home, and then making sure they give it all to you. Your goal is to inspire a girl to make money. So the way you're going to do that is you have to have some element of influence, and you're going to have that element of influence through her respecting you, looking up to you, and her believing she needs you. And this is extremely important.
So basically, deception and emotional manipulation, which are forms of coercion. And coercion, for those of y'all who don't know, is just a synonym for force. And there are different ways of enforcing power over someone. You can do it physically, you can do it emotionally, you can do it financially. And based on the accusations, it sounds like he alternated between those forms of force.
But then she won't need you. But you have to keep that fallacy, keep that dream alive.
Fallacy, that's his word. And what is fallacy? Fraud.
Lie.
That's a pimp. That's exactly what a pimp does.
I knew some street pimps. I've known them for a long time.
Pimping out women is one of the least masculine things you can do. A pimp needs female labor in order to survive. I don't know where you're from, but where I'm from, men don't rely on women in order to survive. Men go out and create, invent, and build. If you want to be a man, go pick up a fucking shovel. Go learn how to use a screwdriver. Go learn how to hunt. Go put on a pair of fucking boxing gloves. And when I say boxing gloves, I don't mean putting your hands on women.
Street pimping is completely... In fact, no, it's not completely different game. The psychological aspect is the same. She can't do this without you. To ensure that she doesn't do it without you. In the beginning, she can. But there'll become a point she can. But you being here, it synergizes this teamwork energy. We're going to do this together. Yeah, you go on the camera. Don't worry, I'll talk to the guys. I'm going to talk to them. We're a team. Happy, positive teamwork. There's no negative energy in this business.
You imagine you talking to this hot blonde girl and you webcam with her and you sending her messages. And
that's what I was talking about.
Just a bald-headed top G on the other side. You thought you were talking to a bitch named Mercedes. Turned out it's a nigga obsessed with Bugattis.
I'm just saying.
That's why. I'm sorry.
Well, the reason why I'm having this face is because I didn't realize how much foot and mouth could contain.
Oh, he's fucking up. They got all the receipts on this guy. And it gets worse.
You have to be positive. So by you typing for the girl, you maximize your money, and also she believes she needs you, which is extremely important. Another reason you use Shadowbait is because they will pay you in Bitcoin. And this is amazing because you've all seen the thought audit shit that's going on. You've all seen the fucking legalities of banking. Trying to get money out of these sites into your bank without paying a shitload of tax is actually very difficult.
That whole avoiding taxes. And it's not legal to do that.
So in the last 6 months, Shadowbait have released a Bitcoin option. So they'll pay you in Bitcoin. Tax is also another important element for controlling your woman. You're not going to pay anybody tax because you're getting paid in Bitcoin. So you don't need to pay tax to anybody. Tell your girl that you're paying the tax. Because girls are lazy, and girls are stupid, and girls don't understand how taxes work. So the girl's working with you, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, we made this much money, but I'm going to pay the tax to make sure you don't get in trouble. She'll sit there and go, okay. Now that allows you to do two things. One, it's another control element. When I work with him, my tax is not a problem. If I do it alone, I have to deal with taxes. Taxes are complicated. It allows you to pay her a smaller percentage. So I used to pay my girls 30%. So for every $10,000 they made, I give them 3, and I keep 7. They thought they were on 50%. And I said that the disparity is because of taxes. So you're on 50%, we have to pay the tax first, and then it's 50-50. So really you're paying
This guy's a, I've held it together as long as I can, but this guy's a fucking scumbag.
Tell them you're paying 50, the difference is in the tax. That's where the disparity lies. Taxes.
You ain't have to do that.
If they don't believe you, they want to get fresh or whatever, print out some tax forms. I see this all the time. I have to print out some random tax forms and say, yeah, sign here and sign this. What is it? It's for the tax. You want to pay the tax or not? Ooh, okay, and they just sign away. They don't know what the fucking signing. Let's throw them away afterwards. But they think something's happening. Something real is happening. Nothing's happening except me get rich, bitch.
So basically, he's boasting about preying on their ignorance, lack of knowledge, and lack of understanding in regards to the tax system. He's using that to his advantage to generate an even larger profit for himself while exploiting the labor of the women who are actually doing the work in front of the camera.
They think something's happening. Something real is happening. Nothing's happening except me get rich, bitch.
So we started. He's already admitted to tax evasion and fraud.
I mean, it's not a mission.
This is a course he's running. He's teaching people.
That's what he's teaching. He doesn't mean he's doing that. Now. I'm just...
That's even worse, that he's fucking teaching people how to do this.
He doesn't mean he's doing that. Now. I'm just playing devil's... It's a very hard job. I'm not...
Preach, this might not be the time to play devil's advocate.
So.
Hey.
He said that's what he was doing with these girls. That's what he said he was doing.
Yeah.
The women saying he did this to us.
Oh.
What, you think they're going to look at the bank records and...
Not only is he confessing, you have the plaintiffs who are corroborating his confessions. And if the prosecutors are able to corroborate his confessions and their confessions with their own evidence, then that sounds like a triple whammy to me.
What, you think they're going to look at the bank records and see that the money, he was paying them 50-50? What you think? Let's be honest. If someone admits to what they're doing, just believe them.
But to his defense, I got nothing.
Guys, he's self-snitching.
So what you're telling me is that they got him on frauding the girls and defrauding the government. Is that what you're saying?
I just want you guys to understand, just here, we're not even going to the human track.
And that's where he fucked up. I always say it. Wealthy people, regardless of who they are, rarely face consequences for their actions unless those actions involve challenging or getting in the way of other wealthy people or entities. So if I had to assume, I would say Andrew Tate fucked up when he started talking about tax evasion, fraud, and money laundering. He might have been all right by telling those little stories about human trafficking. But once you start fucking with the government, it's a wrap.
Just right there, this man was stealing from the people that were working for him. He didn't even care. He said, I'm getting rich, bitch, fuck you. He didn't care. He was stealing from... If that's your job, how would you feel about that? Would you not want this person charged for that crime? Listen, if my employer even stole $1 an hour from me, I'd be pissed. Thousands every single month?
Something real is happening. Nothing's happening except me get rich, bitch. You have girls. You cannot do a business relationship with a female, and I'll tell you why. Women have sex with somebody. If they're not fucking you, they're fucking somebody else. And that other person she's fucking is going to have the control over her mind as opposed to you. And if he controls her mind and you don't control her mind, once she starts to pick it up a bit after a few weeks, a few months, whatever, and realizes how to make money on her own, or she's going to run off and pay her boyfriend, or them two are going to go traveling in Southeast Asia and she's going to work as she goes.
This is exactly what I was referring to at the beginning of the video. His controlling behavior. One of the trademarks of being an effective pimp is to isolate women from starting romantic relationships with people on the outside. Because when people on the outside get involved, that could potentially make the girl open her eyes and realize that the world is much bigger than the small confines she exists in when she's working under your supervision. And that's scary for a pimp. Because if people on the outside start showing these girls a different path in life, that could potentially threaten your business. You don't want your girls running off, so what do? You double down, you triple down on the methods you use to control them. He's a pimp. He's a pimp.
Go to her boyfriend and say, look, fuck it, you type for me. Oh yeah, but you're always working. I have to do some traveling and you can't come. I want to bring you with me. Traveling's a great one because the thing about this business is mobile. If you can find a good Airbnb with good internet, you can run it somewhere else. So it's a good little caveat to throw in. You're always working. Why don't you work for me so we spend more time together? Work for you doing what? So a lot of webcam business. Oh, I don't want to do that. It's okay. I know you don't want to do that, but listen, come, let's have a meeting. Let's just talk about it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Fine. But let me explain it to you properly. In fact,
Gross, dude. It's all manipulation tactics with this guy. You know, if you get a girl that falls head over heels for you and you're running a business like this, you say, I want you to live with me so we can spend more time around each other. I could give you a roof over your head. I could put food in your stomach. I could put money in your pocket. Oh, you don't want to do that? Just come over. Let's talk about it. Let me schmooze you when you walk into my big ass mansion and you see all the shit that I got. Let me give off the vibe that you could have everything that I have if you stay here with me. Let me exploit you. Let me isolate you from the outside world. Let me mindfuck you into thinking I am as emotionally connected to you as you are to me.
you're bottom bitch, the new girl, you go out for fucking a nice dinner, your bottom bitch is the one who does the selling. You don't do the selling. The girl has to hear from a girl. And this is why your bottom bitch has to be trained. That's why I said it's so important to have a good first girl.
Remember Glenn Maxwell?
That's a pimp, bro. I've been around pimps. I've never been involved in the pimping business, but I've been around people like this. They have the same mindset. They're not as rich as he is. They're not as famous, but a pimp is a pimp is a pimp. And this guy's a fucking pimp. And if what they're saying is true, he's worse than a pimp. He's a human sex trafficker.
That was the girl that recruited for Jeffrey Epstein. Almost identical to what he saw.
You guys remember. So this is why this is important, this push record. It doesn't prove anything, but it is one of the little pieces of evidence that they add in for the whole trafficking charge. Basically, he has a woman. Okay?
Bro, what he's describing sounds like textbook human trafficking.
Who used to be a former police officer in Romania. She's the one who does the recruiting, the managing of the women. Why? Because women are much more likely to be roped into these kinds of things if they're hearing it from another woman. So when he sets up his organization, right? Because they're accusing him of running a criminal organization.
And that's another manipulation tactic. He knows that he could use women he's already brainwashed to emotionally disarm women who are hesitant about being brought into the business.
He has the woman who he calls his bondage, right?
And think about some of the backgrounds that these women come from, because matter of fact, let me show you a clip where I talk about it in my previous video. After doing some research on Romania's tumultuous history with human sex trafficking, now I think a more plausible explanation is that this entire ordeal is actually not staged, and that he might actually be facing some serious legal trouble. For those of you who don't know, Romania has one of the worst human rights records in the Western Hemisphere when it comes to human trafficking. Apparently, it is super common for women and girls to be imported, exported, and abducted, right? This happens at astronomical rates compared to other European countries. I mean, I remember sitting in a workshop at Harvard a few years ago, listening to one of the speakers who was conducting fieldwork in Romania on this topic. She talked about the interviews she was doing with victims of trafficking and traffickers themselves to understand their psychology. And she even mentioned how it was common when a girl from a low socioeconomic class was abducted and someone calls the police station to make a report, the police actually wouldn't conduct a proper search for the missing person, nor would they even document their name. So fast forward 5 years later, and now I'm hearing about this guy called Andrew Tate and the things that he is involved in. Although I don't know what's going on the inside, things are starting to make more sense. What I do know is that over the past 2 years, the Romanian government has increased its efforts to combat human trafficking. At the same time, Andrew Tate has been vocal about his participation in this enterprise. So, if you ask me, this is the worst case scenario for Andrew Tate and a perfect storm for Romanian prosecutors, because it just so happens that the Romanian government has been taking major steps to crack down on human trafficking. At the same time, Andrew Tate's stock has been rising, and these allegations are continuing to be made. This, coupled with mounting pressure from the international community, particularly the UN and NGOs that are designed to help women escape from trafficking, could make Andrew Tate's defense one of the most high-profile cases of human trafficking in modern history, especially especially if there are other charges associated with the case. And I'll say it again, I'm not a lawyer, but I do think it's possible that Andrew Tate's confessions have finally caught up to him. I can imagine a scenario where Romanian prosecutors want to use him as an example to prove to the world that Romania is opposed to human trafficking, which remains a questionable assertion because in Romania, trafficking will get you on average 4 years in prison. Now, you compare that to trafficking laws here in the US, which come with an average of 192 months, which is 16 years to be exact. Now, if I had to guess, the only way Andrew Tate would get prison time, given how lenient Romania is with their human sex trafficking laws, would be if prosecutors were able to get him on other charges.
And it seems that during their 8 months of searching and their raids on the compound, they found quite a lot.
Oh my God.
So this is how Andrew Tate apparently manipulates one of the victims into flying to Romania by promising marriage. Then discusses said victim as a commodity to be used for making money. Andrew Tate says, you have to understand once you're mine, you'll be mine forever. A woman never leaves her man, and I'll be the last man in your life. What do we do if we fall in love and I kidnap you to bring you to Bucharest? And then the girl replies, I don't think it's kidnapping if I want to come. First, I have to see in your eyes that you will never be able to live without me, and then I can trust you to show you everything. Bring a ring when you come. This is what the girl said. He says, can you be loving enough to be a wife? To always be on my side whenever I go to...
This guy is such a piece of fucking shit, dude. The way he's leading these women on and portraying a life that's different than what they're going to experience once they actually arrive. Like, bro, you know you're not finna make this girl your wife. And you know you're putting her in a position where she flies over to where you live. She walks into the mansion and she's caught off guard by the 10 other girls you got living with you. And what's she gonna do? Is she gonna leave?
Talk to zero men besides me. You have to move to Romania with me to keep an eye on you. You're mine. Don't ever forget that. And she says, but can I trust you? He says, yes, you can. We'll meet in Romania, and I want to know you're committed and serious about marriage. Yes, I'm serious. And when she gets there, he's like, well, we're not getting married. I want to turn you into a cam girl. So they're basically establishing that the way that he's getting these people involved in the whole business is through fraud. And if you remember what the guy said earlier in regards to some of the criteria that need to be met, okay? One of them is fraud. And that's what they're trying to establish with these conversations when they're released. So even though this conversation doesn't seem bad to you, you have to understand by the letter of the law and how they define human trafficking. This is one of those elements that they might incorporate.
Bro, that's fraud. You fucking lied to somebody to get their foot into the door. And then once they got their foot into the door, you end up lying to them again about the terms and conditions of their employment. Then you proceed to pay them below their market value.
Basically, he wasn't telling these people, hey, I'm running a can business, come down. He's like, I want to marry you. You're going to fall in love with me. You're going to fall in love with me. He gets them all the way down to Romania inside of his compound. Then he springs it on him with who? His mother. So Andrew Tate says, you're not stupid. And he's talking to one of the victims. You're not stupid. And you can probably guess how I make so much money. I have to hide what I'm really doing. And the victim says, webcam? I've been doing this for a long time with a team of girls working on video chat. The company was fake, but this is how I laundered my dirty money. I've been doing this for a long time with a team of girls working on video chat. The company was fake, but this is how I laundered my dirty money. Some of the girls who work for me, I use them to do other things, to move money or illegal things, documents, and I will never do that with you. Basically telling the girl, you're different from the others. I make them do the really illegal stuff. Again, they have it right here in the wiretaps, okay? Him admitting to this stuff. This is going to be used in court, and you're going to have a hard time explaining this one away. What is this money laundering that you were doing?
You can't go to the court and be like, hey, what happened was... Scratch your head and scratch it out.
Okay, so now here comes the next part. I think the biggest one. Tate's angels being the bottom, the two women. I mean, what they call them.
Preacher's stupid.
Are these? They don't say hoes?
Anyway, listen. These are the women who work for him. The Ghislaine Maxwells. If you don't make money, we're going to have a problem. Punch yourself in the mouth until I ride, because then I'll give you another 10, you incurable slacker. And the other girl says, I'll break you when I get there. And the victim says, what did I do? So you have 1 hour, 10 minutes to disappear. And the victim says, but what did I do? You're down 20%, 4 days since you posted. And she says, if Andrew looks to see you if you posted TikToks, you won't even have time to pack. You're flying off the balcony straight away. So what does this conversation really mean? This is where this is important. It might not mean much to y'all because you're like, what is it? When they're taking this in conjunction with everything else, the fraud element involved, the coercion element, the aspect of like lying about what they're really going to be doing.
I think the international pressure on this case more than anything else is what's going to make the prosecutor go for blood. because they're trying to make a point to the international community that no matter how rich or famous somebody is, they're not getting away with human trafficking in Romania.
There. The fact that this girl who works for Tate is saying she's going to be punching the girl 10 times when she gets there. That there's these threats of violence. The one saying, like, Andrew Tate gets home, you're going to be flying off the balcony. Is that literally? Probably not. But there is some element there of threats of potential violence if you don't do what's needed. When you take that to court, and these are conversations that are happening in private, you understand? They're going to take this into strong consideration when they're making their case. They're like, how do you explain this stuff? Oh, we're just joking. We're not going to actually make her. Well, then why is the victim terrified? Oh, she's just lying. You think that's going to really be a real defense in court?
You know the thing is, there's some people that are not going to believe that.
Of course.
There's going to be a lot of guys going to be like, yeah, it ain't that bad, it ain't that bad. And you know why? Because they actually talk like that. Whenever you
And
talk
it makes you think, and I don't want to start putting out rumors, but it makes you think, like, was there ever a case where a girl was flown out to his residence, stepped out of line, and nobody ever heard from her again? Did her friends and family even know she was going to his residence? Did they even know what that shit involved? Was she able to contact them while she was there? We don't know. I don't know.
Nobody told you to self-snitch.
That's not fucked around. That's not
like
fucked
people
around.
just getting on camera and just calmly admitting to criminal activity is so crazy to me. People say, why would anybody do that? Why would people do that and be a public personality? Because some people got ego.
Listen, arrogance is the enemy of intellect. It doesn't matter how smart you are. If you start believing your own hype, and if you start getting arrogant, then you're going to self-destruct.
Because some people don't know how to stay away from the fucking cameras because they head too big. Look at Sam Bankman-Fried, right? Dude ran FTX. Turned out to be a big old fraudster. After the fraud was discovered, you know what this idiot was doing? He was getting on live television, doing interviews, incriminating himself further. And those interviews that he did after being found out are going to be used against him in court. Why? Because some people can't stop themselves from doing stupid fucking things. And I'm sure if he had a lawyer at the time...
And these aren't stupid people either. These are people that think they are so high and mighty and that they could out-clever everyone else. Whereas someone else might be held accountable for their actions. These people believe they are too damn powerful to be taken down. Let this be a lesson to you. Arrogance is the enemy of intellect.
Dude, they would say don't do any interviews. But he couldn't help himself. Why? Because his ego.
I'm just really here to see where it goes. I'm going to see where it goes. Because like Abba said, if that's what they leaking to the press, they got some bangers. Bars.
This was a really interesting video. If y'all enjoyed this reaction, please comment, like, and subscribe. Also consider following me on Instagram if you want to see updates on how I'm doing and some of my thoughts on random topics that I post on my story from time to time. Okay? Peace.